Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. And man, what a I'm gonna recap all the games in the NFL. What a great week and great games. And next week's gonna be pretty good too. But wow. I'm gonna talk about the team that looks like they're gonna go to the Super Bowl. Hope not. Hope miraculously the Steelers make some improbable miracle run. But from what I see, I like the Bills to go. I think it's going to be the Bills and the Rams. I've done that before with those teams, but it feels Bills and Rams so far. Injuries could happen because look, Parsons out for the season, Mahomes out for the season, so things do happen. But just after, as far as the Week 15 recap, and as of now, they look like the team, and I will tell you why they look like the team. They're down, and the Patriots are punching the Bills directly in the face 24/7. They're running the ball, they're passing the ball, they're running nice trick plays that's working. They're, they're laying licks on Josh Allen, stopping Cook from running. The second half, after that long return, kind of stabilized the Bills after a long kickoff return. They got the ball first, scored right away. Now they're down 10, and they got the entire second half to make this comeback in a veteran battle tested team. And they're the number one second half scoring team in the NFL. So now they're in the comfort zone. They get a stop, they get right back. And Cook started running most of his 100 yards in the second half. He scored. Now New England is, you hear the crowd groaning. They were moving the ball on the Bills, then became third and 25 on a couple penalties, and they stopped them. And the Bills, that's all they needed. They went right back down the field. And Josh Allen throwing the ball to Dawson Knox. Boom. Got him. Okay, now New England's trouble. When Travion Henderson scored that 65-yard touchdown and the Bills get run on, they better do something about that when the playoffs come. They're up. Okay, let's see. But the Bills are still hot. So I said the Bills are going to still come back. And they came right back, long pass to Shakir. The Bills, they're a tight end orientated team with Knox and Jackson and the rest of their great tight ends. And the running game and Josh Allen running. But when Shakir catches the ball, that adds extra dimension to their offense. And when Cook scored to get the lead, they shut down Drake May. And it was a drop by Hunter Henry. Well, it was bad. That could have gave him a first down, moved the sticks. A lot, you know what? NFL players and college football receivers, a lot of drops this year, a lot of big time drops when you need it, and they're dropping the ball. But anyway, Buffalo wins, and they show me something winning on the road in New England, and they have to hope. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Patriots. I hope not. I believe they're going to beat the Patriots at home, and the Bills are going to run the table. The Bills are going to beat. Let me see who. The Bills are going to beat Cleveland. They're going to beat Philadelphia at home, and they're definitely going to beat the Jets at home. So their path to win the division is New England losing to Baltimore, but they have to hope New England loses to either Miami or the Jets. What if the Jets decide to wake up and play great football just to stick it to the Patriots and the Bills steal the division? I don't know about it can happen, but they're probably going to be the top log. The Patriots are probably going to win the division. But you never know. But Buffalo's on fire, and they're playing really good football. And in the other AFC games, the Texans and Jacksonville are just on fire right now. And they're battling for the division, maybe home field if Denver could lose a couple of games, because Jacksonville has at Denver. So if Denver wins that, they'll have home field throughout. But if Jacksonville wins, they still have an outside chance, but they got to try to win the division because they're 10-4. Texans are 9-5. Both teams are hot. They split with each other. So you're going to look at, if they end up tied, you're going to look at tiebreakers. And Houston's 4-1 in the division so far. They're both 7-2 in a conference. And Jacksonville's 3-1. They have another game with the Colts. So that's going to be interesting because the wild card teams are going to be very, very difficult to beat. If Houston gets in as a wild card, Buffalo and the Chargers, who are playing better, and their defense is really, I was impressed with their defense against Philadelphia. Those guys are balling out. And Herbert's playing better. Now, if they have to go in a cold environment like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that'll be interesting. But they're going to be tough to beat. So the wild card teams in the AFC are going to be very difficult to beat. And I don't think New England's quite ready yet. You can see it in that game against Buffalo, when Buffalo pressed them and the pressure came on them. I think they're going to get clipped, even though they have home field. I'm not sure about Denver, but I love their defense. When they picked up Greenwald and Talfunga to go along with Patrick Surtain, the best cornerback, a Hall of Fame. I'm gonna go ahead and say that he's headed toward the Hall of Fame. The best cornerback in football, one of the best defensive players in football, Defensive Player of the Year award winner. When you got that level of defense and a great number one pass rush in the NFL, Bo Nix is balling. Bo Nix, I tell you something. Green Bay lost Parsons because Parsons was busy chasing Bo Nix, and he tore his ACL. When Green Bay went up 23-14, and they had the ball, if they would have been patient and ran the ball, they probably would have put the game away. When that interception came, that's when Denver woke up. And Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix, Tony Franklin, and RJ Harvey score, and they just scored 21 points right away, and they end up winning. And Bo Nix, 23 of 34, 302 yards, 4 TDs. And what makes him great, like Jalen Hurts is not good on the run. He usually throws the ball away on the run. Bo Nix is tricky because Bo Nix could run it at the last minute. He'll find a receiver and throw it. And he's very accurate on the run, and he's been solid in the pocket. And it's just the Peyton Bo Nix marriage. It just works. And Denver runs the ball solid. They're just solid all around. And not if they have to run into, especially Buffalo, that could be a problem. But they're going to be hard to beat in Denver, and they're probably going to get home field, I would think, because they got the Chiefs. If they beat Jacksonville, they don't beat Jacksonville, now the pressure's on. But if they beat Jacksonville, they'll probably get home field even. They just will have to split between the Chiefs without Mahomes and the Chargers at home. So they should be fine on that front. And then Pittsburgh won. They were incompetent. I called them an incompetent football team. But the last 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers looks like it's more Aaron Rodgers offense where he's wheeling and dealing. It's not 13 inches in a cloud of dust. They're running it a little better. But with Scanlon and hopefully Thielen can get involved because he got his guys there, threw his touchdown to Scanlon yesterday. And that's going to open up the door for Metcalf, which you see more Metcalf down the field. And the only chance Steelers have, and they play Detroit. And I said there's a 100% chance Detroit's going to beat them. Now, with the way Detroit's playing, I give Detroit a 60% chance. And the only way only chance the Steelers have to win that game, because they got to put points on the board because they're going to have a hard time dealing with the running game. And even if Baltimore was just ran the ball with Henry and not even throw him the ball, just run it, run it, run it, run it, like Buffalo did, they would have had a better chance. Forget all the bad calls that they didn't. They wouldn't even have had. They wouldn't have had to worry about bad calls if they had just did the correct game plan, which they did not. And Pittsburgh is playing better, but their only chance is to run it pretty good and get those 15-yard down the field seam routes. I don't think the you could throw it to Gainwell. Gainwell's been one of the most valuable players on the team, and you run it. But what's very, very important is to get those 15-yard down the middle seam routes to Scanlon. He has to get involved, and Metcalf, and then somehow get Washington some touches to where he can run people over. That's their only chance, and they're third in the NFL in red zone offense. So they've been efficient in the red zone this year, which they haven't in the past. But they have to do it that way. They're going to have a hard time stopping the run. This is a tough game. What the Pittsburgh has to hope for is that New England beats Baltimore and Green Bay beats Baltimore. And you don't want that last game against Baltimore to mean anything. You have to beat Cleveland. Because they lose those two games and they beat Cleveland, they're fine. I'm asking a whole lot. Because I'll ask a lot for Pittsburgh to win the division and win a home game if you run into Buffalo or the Chargers or the Texans. Maybe the Chargers because of the cold, but, there's always hope. And the NFC, Green Bay losing Parsons is rough, but their defense is so solid. I'm not going to just throw in the towel with the Green Bay Packers yet with that. The Bears are probably going to win the division. Green Bay has the Bears. So if the Bears beat Green Bay, they'll probably win the division. They'll be that surprise team that came out of nowhere this year. Because the Bears are playing good, sound football, tremendous young coach and Ben Johnson. And now they will have to play Baltimore at home. They get that one. And then at Minnesota. And Minnesota and McCarthy's on fire right now. So Green Bay's got some tricky games coming up. There should be the wild card. And you know what? San Fran's been quietly playing good. And they're in the driver's seat as far as the wild card. And Seattle will definitely be the wild card. Seattle Rams this Thursday. It's for the division probably. Whoever wins that's going to get home field. I love the Rams. I love the Rams to get that. Darnold, I like him, but I don't necessarily trust him because sometimes he still sees ghosts. And the Rams made him see ghosts when he was on Minnesota last year in the playoffs. Detroit is still in it. They take care of business with Pittsburgh. And they have to hope for that last spot at Minnesota and at Chicago. Woo. Minnesota, Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit are going to just beat each other up. And whoever is the last person standing in Chicago, the last person standing wins the division and hopefully for them a wild card because Carolina's going to play Tampa and whoever wins that division gets in. Whoever loses not going to make it. So Detroit, Green Bay, I think Chicago's in pretty good shape, but you don't know with 4 losses and 6 losses. Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, and then Minnesota could be the spoilers. That kind of smorgasbord of games these next 3 weeks are going to be super competitive and super exciting. And like I said, the last two teams standing are going to make the playoffs.